right, how you doing? It's Professor Dan here with the first in the hopefully not too many installments of Professor Dan Presents video things to help you figure out stuff you would have learned if you had been able to physically come to class. So today I'm going to give you a brief introduction to Plato's Republic. This will be helpful for some of the stuff that we're going to be doing for the rest of the semester. So Plato is really the first philosopher of note who wrote things down in a large amount. His teacher was Socrates. We usually start philosophy with Socrates, but Socrates did not write anything. Plato wrote a bunch of dialogues with Socrates as the main character. So when we say Plato and we're looking at a Platonic dialogue, whatever Socrates said, that's what we think Plato meant. So in our class, we're looking at the Republic. And the Republic is a very big work, and it does a lot of stuff. But the main thing it's trying to do is define justice and whether or not justice is better than injustice. And in order to do this, what they do is they try to come up with the perfect city. Because to the Greeks, a city and a person were analogous. So if we can create the perfect city, we'll know something about the perfect person. And if we know something about the perfect person, then we will know something about justice, and we'll also know whether or not it's better to be just or unjust. When they go and define the perfect city, when they build it out of the ground from scratch, what they call the city in speech, they notice that they think the city works best when everybody does what everyone is best suited to do, which is called one man, one job. Everybody does what they're best suited to do, whether they like it or not, whether they're the best at it or not. They just have to do whatever they're the best suited to do. Once they figure that out, it turns out there's three groups of people. There are the guardians, there are the soldiers, and there are craftsmen. The guardians are in charge. The soldiers are the ones who enforce the rules and protect the city, and the craftsmen do all the individual jobs. Once they figure that out, they figure out that justice is actually this thing right here, one man, one job. That's what they came up with. Once they figured that out, they also figured out that each of these kinds of people, guardians, soldiers, and craftsmen, all correspond to a different nature of a person's soul. So the soldiers correspond to spirit, and the craftsmen correspond to desire. And so a just person is one ruled by reason, where spirit is kept in check and desire is controlled. Now, the very best kind of city is one where this is all happening. And we call that very best kind of city That's called, I keep with my color scheme for those of you who are visual learners, that is called an aristocracy, which means rule of the best, and the worst kind of city, one ruled by the worst kind of person, is called a tyranny. But actually, for the Greeks, or at least for Plato, a democracy was not much better. So in Plato's Republic then, they figure out that justice is everyone doing what they're supposed to do, one man, one job. That corresponds to a person where each part of the soul does what it's supposed to do, is a just person, and this person will be way better off than somebody under a tyranny who's ruled by one bad desire. So that is the basics of Plato. So in the next video, we will talk about how that translates to the family life of the guardians, and then in a future Plato video, we'll talk about Plato's idea of a perfect city as a political institution. All right, thank you very much.